Good afternoon. We're back with another episode of the Lord of the Rings LCG Progression Series. Today is a card review of the Steward Sphere, the first adventure pack after Heirs of Numenor. It's the first adventure pack of the Against the Shadows cycle. Let's take a look. These cards, the Outlands cards, they're all linked together. Can't talk about one without talking about all of them. Hunter of Lamidon was from the previous expansion, Heirs of Numenor, but you can't really talk about him without talking about the Outlands cards. So we'll talk about these together, and we'll talk about them after I do the standalone cards. The first standalone card is Gaining Strength. 0 cost, discard 2 resources from your hero's resource pool to add 3 resources to that hero's resource pool. So it's a gain 1 resource with the caveat that you already need to have 2 in order to gain 1. I wouldn't play this card if it was just gain 1. There's already a card that's gain 1, I think, if it's a Gondor hero. It's not that that's not... It's good with card draw early. If you're playing a deck that has card draw and you need greater strength early, this can help you with that. I don't typically play decks like that, so I wouldn't play this card, but that's where it would fit. It's not bad, but it's not going to unlock any new strategies or be a phenomenal card for you. It can contribute in a certain context, but that's about it. Gondorian Shield, 1 cost, attached to a hero, limit 1 per hero. Attached hero gains +1 shields, +2 instead if attached hero has the Gondor trait. So it's a good contributing card if you're siege questing, you're playing Baragon. Not sure it's worth running at 1 shield for 1 cost with no opportunity for +2. At +2, it's probably worth running. Yeah, I'd run it, especially in siege questing. Would I run it in not siege questing? I'm not sure I'd run Baragon if it wasn't siege questing, so moot point for me. But in a siege questing deck, yeah, I'd run it. It'll help. Contributing card, not a phenomenal card. Kind of similar to Gaining Strength. I'd say Gondorian Shield's better, though. Ring of Barahir. Attached to a hero, attached hero gets +1 hit point for each artifact attachment attached to it. If attached hero is Aragorn, he also gains a lore resource icon. So it has a Song of whatever it is built in. And then on top of that, you get +1 hit point for each artifact, with the downside being it's unique. The problem with the artifacts you might put on Aragorn is that they're all unique, and so you don't really want a lot of them. And I don't think +1 hit point is enough compensation to compensate for the uniqueness, so I would not run this. It's okay. Maybe even good if it's not unique, but it is unique, and it only works off of other unique cards, and you don't want a lot of those, so this is not a good card in my opinion. I wouldn't run it. Mithrandir's Advice. Draw 1 cost, draw 1 card for each hero you control with a printed lore resource icon. A great card in a Monosphere lore deck. You would include it in every single Monosphere lore deck that you ever make. Because drawing 3 cards for 1 cost and 1 card is amazing. Great card. In a Monosphere lore deck. Maybe even a deck where you're running 2 lore heroes. Yeah, I'd include it in a deck where you're running 2 lore heroes. A Good Harvest. 0 cost, name a sphere. Until the end of the phase, you can spend resources of any sphere when paying for cards that belong to the named sphere. Okay. So it's a one-time use 0 cost song. Or one-time use 0 cost Narvi's Belt would be more apt. This could be a card in some combo decks. Like, for example, a Very Good Tale is one of my favorite cards. Let's say I wanted to run that along with a Good Harvest. And I knew that, like, okay, so for example, if you're running a Monosphere, let's say, for example, Spirit deck, and you know there's 1 leadership card you want to run, Steward of Gondor, and only 1, I'd run this a Good Harvest over the song because it doesn't cost anything, and you know you're only using it 1 time, so this has a use for sure. Could even be a very good combo card for some early game combos because of its 0 cost. Good card. Good card, contextual. You wouldn't include it in every deck. Mithrandir's Advice is the best card of these cards because it's good in every single Monosphere lore deck. And I think most dual lore hero decks. This is also good. Ring of Barahir is not. Gondorian Shield and Gaining Strength are decent contributing cards, but nothing amazing. With Gondorian Shield being a bit better than Gaining Strength, especially in a Siege deck. So, the Outlands cards. Hirluin the Fair, 8 threat, that's great. This is actually the lowest threat hero in the leadership sphere, tied with Theod. No, not Theoden. What's his name? The guy that gives 1 resource. His name slips my mind right now. But they're tied for lowest leadership threat hero. You may use resources from Hirluin the Fair's resource pool to pay for Outland allies cards of any sphere. Arranged. Well, obviously his starting stats are awful. But you can't talk about him without talking about the other Outlands cards. So we've got one that buffs shields, one that buffs attack, one that buffs questing, and one that buffs hit points. The 1 cost ones start at 0, and the 2 cost ones start at 1. So all of them get stronger for each one that gets played. Well, tough to judge them without playing them. It's got potential, I'll say that. And I'll try it out. It's got potential to grow into something very powerful, albeit weak, turn 1. I think that's safe to say. There's no card in here that makes Hirluin the Fair a good hero turn 1. Even with a draw where you're playing 2 of them on turn 1. He's still not good turn 1. But could it grow into something powerful? I think it's got potential, and I'll try it out and we'll see. Hunter of Lamidon. After you play Hunter of Lamidon from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck if it's an Outlands card. Add it to your hand. Okay, so the potential to draw a card when you play him. It's got potential. Give it a try. Give it a try. I'm not sure Hirluin. I think these cards could be good even without Hirluin. But, so it doesn't say each other Outlands character you control. It says each Outlands character, so that would include them. So 2 shields. It starts with, so it's a 2-1-1-2. 1-0-1-0, that's good. 1-0-0-0-2, that's not good. 2-2-1-1 is good. So that, the other swordsmen and Knights of the Swan are good on their own. Hirluin the Fair is not. Warrior of Lozernak is not, and Falas Herdsman is not. But those 2 are good all on their own. And they only get better with each one that you play. Yeah, let's give it a try and see how it goes. Interesting adventure pack. Some decent cards. Outlands. I'm happy with this adventure pack. I don't know if I could recommend it without trying the cards. I think this is a concept that needs to be tried to judge it. So, thanks for watching. Good evening. Just as an additional note to my card review, I did try out Hirluin the Fair with an Outlands deck, and I found it underwhelming, and the reason is because it takes quite a long time to get the Outlands set up right now. So I'm sure it could be very powerful if you get it rolling, but it's weak early, and weak early is bad in solo. By weak early, I mean it's weak turn 1. You can't make Hirluin good turn 1 right now. Maybe in the future you'll be able to, but right now it's weak early, and weak early doesn't cut it for solo play in my opinion. But there's some cards that are good, like either Swordsman and Knights of the Swan. I don't know if they're better than currently existing alternatives, because they're fragile. But they're worth messing around with at least. Thanks for watching.